I was in Atlanta recently for the January 2023 gift fair. And while I was there, I got to see some pretty fascinating retail. One area that I got to was Krog Street, which runs near the Beltline, which is a really rapidly developing part of Atlanta. And a store that I got there that I want to share with you about today is a store called The Merchant. So let's get into it. The Merchant is a really fascinating business. This is the sign from the outside. You go to their website and it just gives you an idea of this business. It was established in 2013. It talks a little bit about the history of merchants and about the focus of their business. What's interesting on the website that you can see, the page of the website you can see right now, is they see themselves as a curator of gifts, stationery, and vintage goods. And I think that word curator is interesting because back in the day, they would have called themselves a retailer. Today, they call themselves a curator. And when you get into the store, that's exactly what they are. You step inside the front door and you're immediately presented with well, shelving, but not necessarily traditional retail shelving, packed with items that feel like they've been thoughtfully sought out and brought into the business. You have displays like this, and it looks like a bit of old crockery that they've found at garage sales or farm closures or whatever. But if you look more closely, these are candles that they're selling, and they've actually got the Joan Didion book there that gives it a bit of artistic or cultural connection. And you see that throughout the store. You've got these displays that are curated, as they say. This is a display selling leather handbags and related products, but it doesn't necessarily look like that. And it's got some books in the display as well. So they're really thoughtful and careful about how they place items. None of the fixtures are retail fixtures. They're found objects that they've brought into the business to help give the business culture. And yes, you can buy those fixtures from within the business. They've got old shelving that they've turned into this kind of kids area. And around this, they have kids plush and kids books and things like that. It really feels like you're stepping into a piece of history, something that's enjoyable, a bit like a treasure hunt. And I certainly, if you've seen any of my other videos, I talk about treasure hunt retail. Certainly, the Merchant at Atlanta is very much that treasure hunt retail experience. It draws you in, and you want to go further and further into the business itself. Like I said, the kids section is in the corner, and then next to it, you've got this pet section, which is really cool. You've got a really nice range of items. It's not over full. You're not being assaulted with lots of things to look at. And that means that you've got some time to look at the things that they think are interesting. And there is this sense that they've put some work into to put these items together for you. And they're really interesting. They're fun items. The people in the shop, by the way, aren't following you around. They're not asking you how you're doing. They're not asking if they can help. It's a very gentle and enjoyable shopping experience. Across from the pet section is this section here. And what I like about this, what I think is really clever about this, we'll talk about the blackboard on the right-hand side in a moment. Look over on the left-hand side, you've got a small card section. It's on this wall, and then it goes behind. You can't quite see it in this photo. What I like is that they've got a brick wall, they've painted it, they've used two different colors. You've got the green and then you've got the sort of off-white above that. I think that's really clever. Visually, it makes it more appealing, and you're able to see the cards and be drawn into the cards and have a look at them there. I think that's really, really interesting. The cards themselves are just an acrylic fixture. They're screwed into the wall. They're really strong, and it's also very interesting that they're just using minimal signage. So it says here anniversary. There's no big sign that's drawing away from the cards themselves. I think it's really clever for the product to be the hero, and they've not overpacked the card shelving. Whereas some retailers on, say, this middle shelf, this anniversary shelf here, might have an additional card in there just to get more stock in. These guys have an approach where less is more. Give the product some space to breathe and some room to move, and on the basis that people are going to more likely see what it is they happen to be selling. I really like that. I like their card section a lot. It's very appealing. But I wanted to talk about the blackboard. This is an old school blackboard from decades ago. In front of it, you've got this box that they're using just to display some bags and other product. You've got roll wrap here. You've got some other roll product here, and then you've got sheeted paper here. Excuse me. And then you've got some cards on this side of the blackboard, along with these candles and various other items. they're also using the same acrylic connected to the blackboard. Pretty clever, very simple, not a lot of maintenance involved. And then on the other side of the blackboard, you've got a different range of cards. They've not done anything to necessarily tidy up the blackboard. It's still got its scratches and dents and marks on there, which is fine. I think that lived-in feel, that kind of rescued item feel is really good. There's a sense that they're trying to stop things being thrown out and wasted. And I think that really works with the type of shopper they're trying to attract. Elsewhere in the business, it very much fits that treasure hunt mold. This photo, you've got this old trolley on the bottom, which was used decades ago for carting goods around. And then on top of it, you've got a chair of all things. And then the chair is a host to displaying a book. Over here, you've got some boxes and you've got a book on top. Over here, you've got some clothing items. You've got some plants. And it's all, you could look at it and say, gee, it feels a bit cluttered. But the reality is when you're in the shop and when you're looking at it, I went around this thing several times just to see what they had in there. It was really interesting. And again, you've got a lot of space around it. So the products that they've got on display have got room to breathe and room to move, which I think is pretty cool. They use old shelving. So this is a product display unit for I guess that's Echelon Automotive Electrical Parts. And they're using it here as a fixture to display these particular skincare and related products. So, these products don't necessarily tie to this brand, but they do because the person who might be drawn to the brand is also going to be drawn to the products that they happen to have. Very clever move. And also the fact that, it's orange, it's got the blue lettering, it ties in with the blue on the products. Somebody's thought about this really carefully and chosen that particular stand for this product, which goes to the whole perception they have of themselves as being a curator. And I think it really, really works. It's very strongly reflected. If we come around to the side, I'm starting to head out of the shop now. And, you've got this other little area of warmth, this kitchen area of warmth. You've got tea towels. You've got, placemats. You've got doilies. You've got some kitchen utensils, some cooking books. Really, really appealing, thoughtfully spaced out, thoughtfully put together, curated to tell this wonderful story. So overall, I really like The Merchant. It's on Krog Street. Their website is themerchantatl.com. Really well worth seeing. They're also in Texas, so that there are currently 2 stores in this business. I like their focus on gifts. I like their focus on vintage. I like their focus on greeting cards. I also like the fact that they represent some brands, some really strong brands. They list them on their website too, which is pretty cool. Getting to The Merchant was interesting as well because I walked a couple of miles to get there. And I wanted to get across to the Krog Street area. And one of the things that I walked through was this old, there's one more thing. There's the tea towels at The Merchant. But I want to get to this, which is it's a tunnel. And the city has allowed the tunnel to be used by local street artists. And it's just a pleasure to walk through. It's so much fun. It's joyful. It's bright. It's colorful. And what I liked about it was actually when I was walking through this, I didn't know that I was going to get to The Merchant, but I liked about it because I was passing through this thing that took me from one type of the city into a more artistic and more kind of creative side of the city. And I thought that was really fascinating. It's even got little kind of art installations like this tiny little door that's very, very small. But walking through that tunnel was really wonderful because it set me up for getting to the experience of finding The Merchant, which is a really interesting business to get to. So if you happen to be at Atlanta, if you go to the gift fair or any of the other trade shows at the America Smart Trade Show Centre, I would say get to The Merchant. It's really well worth seeing. Anybody in retail, regardless of the retail you're in, I think you'd find things in terms of the choices that they make in that business, the visual merchandising choices, the product curation choices, really, really clever business and well worth seeing, particularly if you're a local independent retailer. I found it really worthwhile, and I hope you found the video worthwhile too. Thank you.